Hello, this is Gene. It's been a while since I've talked to you guys, but I just want to, give you an update of what's going on, what I'm thinking about, and I'll try to go through that in this video. I just came out walking. Today I feel kind of old, but when you're over 50, that kind of happens. So some days you feel you're still in your 20s sometimes, and then sometimes you wake up, you definitely feel your age. But Monday I did something that I've never done before. I voted for a party which I'd never voted for. I've been a registered Democrat for since 1984. Although I did not vote in the Reagan. Um, was that with the Mondo? No, is that Mondo? I don't remember. I didn't. I was overseas at that time, and I wasn't really into politics so much back then. I pretty much knew that Reagan was going to win the election anyway because his policies were basically waked us up, and he wasn't going to lose, and of course he didn't lose. He won by quite a bit. So on Monday we had early voting in Florida, so I voted, and I voted for Donald Trump. 18 years or 18 months ago, but I would have laughed at myself for doing something like that, but I did what I had to do. And part of the reasons I want to say or have this video out there is because if there's still any people left that are undecided, or Democrats that feel that they have to vote based on party lines, I would like to ask them to rethink their position, research who you're voting for and what it means for. And those, especially people from my age, maybe a little bit younger than me, who would look at themselves as classical liberals that believe in limited government. The individual rights is so important that if all individuals have their rights attained and defended, that'll help the entire country. What's happened to the left is no longer what I looked at as far as being liberal. And this morning on Breitbart, which I listen to sometimes when I walk, talked about that, about how the left has been hijacked by the new left, people that are all into the feminist type things, and that there are no real liberals in the left anymore. These are Marxists in nature, and are part of the authoritarian left that is trying to take over this country. And you can dress it up in a person that has some cool factor like Obama, but his policies and his executive orders are from the playbook of Saul Alinsky. And those who don't know who that is, I would ask you to look at that. In Florida, I think it's going to be close, but I do think Trump's going to win based on what I see on the ground. From what I heard, he's got I-4 pretty much taken care of. Sorry about the cars, but I left the house open. We finally got a little bit of cooler weather here in the last week or so, and I'm trying to just air out the house, and have a fairly large house. So, we had the hurricane that went through us, and luckily nothing. It decided to go east a little bit, and that kind of helped a lot of people where I come from. So we were thankful for that. Obviously, we're not thankful what happened down to the Bahamas and Haiti. That's just the loss of life is tragic. And obviously, it doesn't take you much if you're really into the political arena. If you just Google Clinton and Haiti and see what her and her foundation did down there, that basically she made people that she knew, her friends, become very wealthy, where the actual people there are still suffering. And after all these years, 4 or 5 years ago that hurricane happened, the earthquake and the billions of dollars that we put in their actual stuff was not really improved. So when this hurricane went through, it didn't really help either. So I guess this is just my call out before. Obviously, in some states, early voting has already happened, and if you've already made your decision, I'm glad you actually went and voted. I think that this election is very important, and I'm going to tell you why. It's pretty clear that if you know anything about it, that whoever wins the presidency is going to get at least two of the seats on the Supreme Court filled in the next 4 years, and there's a possibility that it might be 3 or 4. And the reason I say that is I really believe that Ginsburg will step down if Hillary wins, because she knows then that there's going to be somebody like her on the panel, and maybe some of the other ones that are older, liberals that are older might leave. I don't think that Ginsburg would step down if Trump wins, although she may not have a choice. She may die in office like Scalia did. So if it's at least two, that makes some of the decisions over the last 20 years that were 5-4, 6-3 now in play, especially when it comes to gun rights under Heller, even R.V. Wade, which I think needs to be struck down and something else be put in its place. And the reason why I say that, and I didn't know this at all, I mean, I only really concerned myself so much about American politics, although in America, what happens here impacts the entire world. Although I don't really like the whole thing about being whoever wins is going to be a leader of the free world. I don't really like that, but I guess in a lot of ways we still are. So, but I was, again, didn't expect this to happen. I don't listen to Glenn Beck anymore because I just can't anymore. Sometimes I listen to him, especially when he talks about getting the Christians out of in the Middle East, trying to save them, and what he's done there. I think that's been great, and I applaud him for that. But on his show, and he wasn't even there that day. I think that he was getting ready for his little interview he did with Charlie Rose. But the guys were talking about abortion in Europe and how they look at it, and almost all the European nations don't really, after the first trimester, they don't allow it. And the only time they ever really allowed it is if it's the health of the care of the mother. And they all have several days that they have to be counseled before they have the abortion. And in this country, we keep hearing stuff that we are this big war against women, and they can have abortions past 20 weeks here in this country. And if it's if they bring out the whole thing that there's maybe a defect with the child, or the women could be dangerous to their health, they can have that up to the day before the birth in this country. Now, Clinton lied about this in the debate. There is no any partial birth abortion, although there is, but there's also still late birth abortions, and we're talking about 30,000 people a year that after the 21 weeks are getting murdered or aborted. And somebody who stayed in a ICQ for kids when my son was born, I saw a lot of them that were 10 or 19, 20, 21 weeks old that were just smaller versions of humans. And the idea that we just still in this country think that that's a good thing to do, and that women, I don't understand where they get this idea that they have to shout out their abortion or think this is women's rights type of thing, and it's not. I've always been somebody who has been pro-choice, but I thought there has to be limits. And looking at most of the models that are in Europe, I agree with them. Ireland is probably the most restrictive, but some of the other ones, like after about 13 weeks, 14 weeks, they have to ask before they have an abortion. And I think that's fair, because there is a responsibility for the women here, and I've talked about this in some of my other videos. Nobody wants to hear it. You're never going to be respected. I don't care what, you can bring out this myth about the pay gap and saying that there's still ceilings that you can't get through because you're a woman, when that's not true. But the thing that will never respect you is because you are never responsible for your bodies. And when this country we have abortions over a million people, or 100 million abortions a year, why does it always happen whenever I do this? Somebody always has to call me. Anyway, let me go check this because maybe my son are not doing well at school. So just a second. No, of course not. As you say, I don't script any of this stuff, and I obviously didn't script that, and I'm not going to take it out because I don't know how to do it anyway. So, I think that was another polling place, and I would love that we would model ourselves after something like that, because at least in that, it looks like women have the ability to have a doctor talk to them, and they can find out what's right for them, and they might have avenues before aborting a baby or fetus. I still think in 15, 20 years from now that the United States will finally wake up to this and say that what we had done for the last 30 or 40 years was tanning out to genocide for almost for the African American populace, although they procreate more than the white populace. They also murder or abort more than we do. So it is one of the stains of my life to see this. And of course, the left wants to come out and say that, oh, you'd want them to baby if they were, incest or something like that. And almost all the ones in Europe have that clause in there too. But again, we're talking about less than 1.1% of any type of abortions is based on that. And really, when it comes down to the mother being dying and stuff, that doesn't happen anymore. And if it was something where the baby was distressed, they can, after 21 weeks, they can actually go get a C-section and get them out. A lot of this is still convenience for women. They still, even today, they don't want to take responsibility for having a baby. They want to blame men for getting them pregnant, but they don't want any responsibility for having the baby and then making decisions at that. At the end of the day, they want big government to come in and take care of them. And that's not really empowering. So when I see people and feminists complain that they're not being taken seriously, this is the reasons why they're not. And people don't look at other women that claim rape or groping 30 years after the event and look at them with any type of respect. I can't, because women lie all the damn time about that, especially when there's money at the end of the day that they might get from it. They do it all the fucking time. Men do it sometimes, but this is a female thing. And people who really study this and actually have a real life and see this, this is how it's been set up. Now, can you say that men allowed it to happen? Yeah. The divorce courts, which is almost dominated by men, the jobs, most of the judges are men, almost all the lawyers are men, although in the family courts there are more women coming up. But there are other men sitting there watching other man getting destroyed because, who knows, she said that, they've been together for 15 years, had 3 kids, never had any abuse claims ever, but when they go to trial for who has the kids, who gets the money, all of a sudden he's on a restraining order because he abused them at some point. Like, just look at Brad Pitt. I mean, never been brought up. All of a sudden he's being said that he did shit like this. And there are studies out there, and maybe I'll find it and put it below, that women can just, in the back of their mind, they can just do this stuff and destroy people up, and they just go along with their life, and they think it's okay. It doesn't really, because they still think that, oh, if he's called a rapist, he may have to go to jail, or maybe not, and he'll get over it. A person who gets raped will never get over it. But that doesn't take to the amount of times that women continually falsely accuse men of doing something like this, and then the men have to deal with it for the rest of their life. And even if they're proven to be innocent, people still think at the end of the day they did it. Those people at Duke, they still believe they did it. The guys at UVA, this woman is, she's going with her trial right now, and she's acting like she had PTSD because, why? Because she lied. So if women really want, and you can call me whatever, you can call me a misogynist, but this has nothing to do about being hateful to women. There are thousands and millions of women out there that are responsible and respectful and I would trust my life with them. But the people that run this country, they don't. And the problem is, the one that's on the Democratic side of the say, she takes no responsibility for anything. And she destroyed our national security, and she let people die in places, and then she lied to the parents. So I personally, I can't really respect anybody who's a Democrat or a woman that would vote for her based on I don't know what. There is really no compelling argument for her. Yeah, but there's going to be 40 or 50 million that's going to vote for her based because they have to do it, whether I want a woman to finally win or I'm all about women's rights, although she's not really. You know, she was against gay marriage, and she was about the Defense of Marriage Act and all these conservative things. She grew up in a fairly well-to-do family and claimed that she came from nothing, that her mentor was a KKK mentor. The person that she looks at as another icon to her was Margaret Sanger, who is the responsible for killing millions of black babies. That she wanted them to be dead because she looked at black people as being as inferior. So that's not what I consider liberal in any way. I believe that everybody has the same opportunities. Your outcome is going to be based on you. Will you have more obstacles being a black man in this country? It's very possible. Although if you're an athlete, you don't. If you're an elite athlete, everything's given to you. But that's a very small percentage. But somebody who grows up, who is a black man, I'm not going to say black women because Big Daddy government is taking care of them. So they have everything they want. They can go down and get pretty much anything they want. Where the black man is not going to get this. He's going to be yelled at, why don't you have a job, something like that. Or they get killed by other black men because in their mind, they don't have any opportunity. And the only real person on any of these tickets that are talking about the inner cities is Trump. So if you really are a liberal, you believe in helping out people when they need help, there's only really one person here, and that's Trump. And as crazy as it says, I mean, obviously, people don't know me. They could just say all along that I was a Trump supporter. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to show you something. I should have brought it along. I gotta get it out now. I should have started this before I started the video. Alright, I'm not going to put my name on here, although you know who I am. Just make sure you can see. This is my register ID. Let's see if I can see. I'm a Democrat. Okay. It says 2005. That's when I moved to Florida from California. So I've been a Democrat since 1920 or 1984. So I've defended Clinton when he did his stupid shit. I didn't really defend him, but I didn't think that we didn't need to know as a country to know what he was doing in the Oval Office at night. I thought that's between him, his God, and his wife, and she stayed with him. So I don't really have any. And I don't. Again, I'm not somebody that's going to come back now and say that what happened to him was right either. I mean, people just because a woman says that he did this to him, 10, 15 years later when he's running for the president, I don't look at that as anything as proof of anything. Do I think that he had a lot of sex? Yes. Do I think that maybe he was doing something with underage kids? Yes. Is it possible that he has other kids from other women? Yes. But that's nothing new. So when Trump talks about it, and he talked about it on that bus, and he was talking about what is really consent, because he says they let you do that to them. They let you grab them by the pussy or something like that. There is no consent issue here because he basically says they let you do it, so they're okay with it. Now, what he was talking about is something that everybody knows, that if you're a rock star or an athlete or somebody who is very powerful, women parts of them just melt around that, and other parts of their body gets wet with anticipation. For those people to sit there and say that this is not what happens when this type of thing happens, whether it's the success, that the fact that he's got a lot of money, that's going to mean good things for me, or he's this big guitarist that for a big rock group, and I just can't, I have to have sex with him, or when Justin Bieber, who's 13 out there, and women who are twice his age, three times his age, are out there just gyrating to Justin Bieber. This shit happens all the fucking time. So when liberals or conservative women that sit there and pearl clutch saying that this is all bullshit, that this is not how women are, and all that's bullshit, they're sexual beings just like men. Men like to talk about shit like this all the fucking time. I don't like to do it. I put on my Facebook, I thought that he's a little too old in his life to be ain't shit like that. But when, of course, people had to get on there and had to just rail on him about that, I basically had to check him out, or I had to call him out and say, what are you talking about? You know that men talk like this. And what he said is not rape or sexual assault. And unfortunately, in the debate, the first 30% of it is talking about this. And then a gay man sat there and said several times over again that was sexual assault. And this is the problem, that this country has been so bastardized by the feminism that we believe that this is what sexual assault is. That's not what it is. When you're talking about having sex with a woman, and when they say they let you do it because they think you're so, what is that? Is there any time that a woman ever has, based on this type of myopic viewpoint about stuff, that women never have responsibility in anything? And I've said it before in other videos. And again, some people may call me misogynist by saying it, but wake up, women. You're a woman, you're a woman. You're a human just like us. You have desires just like us. You like things that, if a guy has a lot of money, that gets you off. Or if he's, looks a certain way, it gets you off. Or is so confident, like Trump is. People like that, men that are very confident, just are magnets for women, and certain type of women. And these are the type of women that are up here now saying that he did this shit to them. We find out they all have issues in their background. Some of them are porno stars. So obviously they have issues. I'm not saying that it couldn't have happened. I don't know. But we're talking about something that was 30 years ago, and because we are so gynocentric in this country, that we think it's okay that a woman can come back 30 years after and then accuse somebody of something they did, whether nobody saw it. And that should get some sort of applause. And some of these people get fame from it, or they write books about it, and they make money from it, and it's disgusting. But they think it's okay. And it's all part of the same reasons as some of the areas that I don't like Trump in. I don't like the whole marriage act where he's going to give women more money when they have kids, or give them pay. I think that there should be something like that, but the companies should do that, and men should have some ability to be there at home as well. If you're going to do it, it should be for both. I'm not sure about what he's going to do about health care. I still think in a lot of ways he's more liberal. He's more democratic. There's some of the things he talks about are going to be big government type things. When he talks about redoing the military, that's trillions of dollars. And about the wall is going to be a lot of money too. So these are things that are big government jobs. They're going to help. But the part that I like about him is that I think that he is something that we need right now. Whether you're going to blow up the establishment in Washington, D.C., or we need to get our confidence back in this country. And in 1980, that's why Reagan was so important. When you look back, now his policy might not have been that great. Some of the things he might have said, looking at it now, 30 years later, we might say, oh, that was racist or whatever. We can do that with anything. And we could talk about what we've done at colleges now in this country, and they're tearing down statues because great men had slaves. And it's like, but we don't want to have the other part of that where it says, oh, the free blacks had more slaves per capita than the white people did. But we don't talk about that because then again, they had to be victims as well. So they're all like part in the same area, and I've talked about it before. The feminists or the Marxism have taken over those people who they consider themselves marginalized. And again, in this country, white women are not the minority; they are the majority, and they have 70 to 80% of all the money that they have at their disposal. Whether they buy it or work for it, make it, they have it, and they decide things around this country. So when they want something to happen, that's what happens. And when they get upset, it's talked about forever on TV. So that's just all I had. Like I said, just want to tell you where I was at. This is my call out to those who are not haven't decided yet, or who are Democrats who are just sitting there like I can't do for. I hate Hillary, but I hate him. Just think about it before that, and don't stay at home, because this is a very important election. I wasn't here in 2012 saying the same thing, or 2008. This really is a very important election, and I hope you liked this video. If you have any comments, just leave it below, and we can talk about it in the comments. Thank you for watching. You guys have a good day. Bye.